are you? How was your weekend? Did you de-stress? Did you play as hard as you work? What did you do this weekend to de-stress, to play, to add fun, joy, laughter to your life? What did you do? I had a great weekend. I had some events. I laughed, played, practiced stress management. I also had some social play time with my family. What did you do this weekend so that you are ready to go back to work when your alarm went off this morning? What did you do to play? What did you do to de-stress? When your alarm went off this morning, were you excited to go back to work, or did you feel dread? It's very important. If you feel dread, it's time to manage yourself so that you can bring the excitement back to work, or maybe possibly find something that will allow work to be a creative expression for you. If you were excited to go back to work, good job. You have figured it out. You have figured out how to manage your stress, and you're in a place that cherishes you, that values you, so you enjoy being at work. And it is our responsibility to de-stress and find work that is a creative expression of who we truly are. So I hope we're going out of our way to play. I hope we're in positions that make us feel able, excited, engaged, productive, all of the good things that make your life feel more rewarding and satisfying. So today is Monday. It's our stress management wellness chat. We're just going to talk about a stress management technique that I use to manage stress. But we're going to give everybody just 1 minute to get in here. Where are you from and how are you feeling today? I'm feeling eager. I have an exciting work week. And where are you from? Put in the chat how you're feeling and where you're from. And we'll get started in a minute. I'm a little eager because I have so much work to do this week, fun work. I'm also, of course, going to incorporate some play. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm eager to get in there and have some fun. All right, so I'll go ahead and start. Looks like we have 12 o'clock. So welcome, Work-Life Warriors. I am Ebony Davenport, and I teach stress management. I show people how to utilize fun management skills to decrease stress and counter burnout so that we can be happier, healthier, and well-balanced. I use over 50 tools, tips, tricks, and techniques to manage stress. But today we're going to be talking about positive thinking. The last 3 videos, so this is kind of a continuation. The first video was just about thoughts in general, and then last week was about negative thinking, and this week is about positive thinking. So let's start with a little stress education. What is stress? Everyone knows what stress is, but it's kind of hard to talk about, right? We all have different ideas and definitions of stress, and there isn't one single unifying definition in the literature. In Eastern philosophy, stress is considered the absence of inner peace. In Western culture, it's considered the loss of control. Stress is problematic because it's ambiguous. Stress definitions differ, stressors vary, affecting people's mind and bodies differently. So again, what is stress? Let's blend the Eastern philosophy and Western culture's definition and say that stress is feeling out of control instead of inner peace. And there are 3 steps: perceiving a threat, which is appraisal; coping with it; and adapting to it. In the stress community, we talk a lot about stress being a relationship between a person's perceptions and needs and abilities and the conditions of the environment. So how we perceive control over our environment causes stress, right? And there's 2 types of stress. There's distress, and normally when we say we're stressed, or this is stressful, or that's a stressor, we're talking about the bad type of stress, which is called distress. There's also a good type of stress. It's eustress. And eustress is the good stress you feel when you're planning a vacation, when you're on vacation, when you get a promotion, when you graduate, all of the good things in life that also bring bittersweet moments. And our bodies react to distress and eustress differently, right? Although too much of it, the severity, duration, and frequency of any type of stress impacts us negatively. So it doesn't matter if you had 5 good stressors happen to you in a short amount of time. It still impacts your body because stress is not normal. Pressure is normal, but stress is something that we want to manage and eliminate because it's not normal. Regardless of if it's good stress or bad stress, we want to minimize the amount of stress we have in our life, right? Although stress can make diamonds, too much of it can be detrimental to our health. So, the way that we manage our stress, of course, is by practicing stress management. And stress management is just honoring the pause. So when something happens to you in life, there is a stimulus. So if you're in autopilot, you quickly react without thinking about the consequences, which your wants and needs are, without thinking about the other person. So stress management is just honoring the pause. It's when a stimulus occurs, you pause, think about your wants, your needs, your desires, the other person, the consequences, and then you respond from a place of power instead of react. So it's taking yourself out of autopilot and being very mindful of how you're showing up in any given situation and what you ultimately want from any given situation. So stress management is mindfulness and prevention. It is a way to try to change something that will automatically occur to something that is more beneficial to you, right? Because most stress comes from thinking about the past or worrying about the future. When we are using all of our mind, when we're in the present moment, when all of our attention is focused on right now, on that stimulus, it isn't any room for anything else to enter. So here's the prime opportunity for you to figure out your needs, your wants, your desires, the other person, and ultimately any consequences that may come from your action. Without Because when there's a stimulus, there's kind of like a chain reaction that starts, right? So when a stressful event occurs, it activates our fight or flight response. The response triggers the release of stress hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol. If the trigger is perceived as eustress or good stress, the physiological responses and production of the cortisol are short term. But if the trigger is perceived as distress, we are ready to react with quick instincts and thinking, but our system does not go back to normal until the perceived thought is eliminated. So if you're always having stressful thoughts, that means your body is constantly in the fight or fight mode. And that is not a great place to be because you're constantly releasing stress hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol. And cortisol on its own is not bad for the body, but in large doses over long periods of time, it breaks down your body. So you want to be aware of what you're thinking and be in the present moment and active and engaged with what's happening around you. So even though we have these stressful thoughts, we can't control them, and that's a part of stress management. So, one way to change the perception of stressors or what we perceive to be stressors is through countering our negative thoughts by inserting positive thoughts. So, there is a great debate about thoughts, and it comes down to two possibilities. Thoughts are either part of the material world or not part of the material world. Part of the material world, as in the pattern of electricity generated by the neurons in our brain, not part of the material world like their cosmic consciousness that spans the universe, but that is completely undetectable by science. I say, can they be both? Napoleon Hill says, truly, thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when they are mixed with definites of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their translation into riches or other material objects. So, thoughts are way more powerful than we think. That is why it's important to manage them. The great thing about them is that regardless of where the thought comes from, when we are mindful, we can always change our mind. One thought at a time. Negativity is natural. It's a natural pathway in our brain, believe it or not. The science of positivity shows why our mammal brain tends to go negative unless we make a simple adjustment unless we build in a simple adjustment. Negative thought patterns does not mean something is wrong with you. In fact, it's natural. Negativity feels good to our old circuits, but we can practice to build new ones, positive circuits that benefit us, because our response to the world is a learned habit. Our habits are hard to notice because they're just physical pathways in the brain. These pathways channel electricity from our information inputs to our positive or negative brain chemicals. Our pathways were built from our unique life experiences. The positive and negative experiences of our past pave neural pathways that channel our electricity today. Negativity is really a physical pathway in our brain, but we have the power to build a positive pathway instead. We may think positivity is bias, but when we understand our inner mammal, we realize that our negative lens was biased and in need of correction anyway. By being mindful, it provides the opportunity to combat negative thoughts with positive thoughts. Biologically, human nature is wired for negative thinking, but can be redirected in the moment and eventually trained. Taking time to slow down and ground ourselves in the moment is very beneficial for our breathing in thoughts. In the moment of stillness or chaos, take the time to evaluate what is happening based on the present moment and not the past or the future. In stillness, we realize that we are not our thoughts or a body. Focusing on positive thoughts and self affirming self talk is the first step into taking control over your life. And it starts again with your thoughts. By being mindful, it provides the opportunity to combat negative thinking with positivity. Biologically, it is easy for us to, of course, it's easy for us to think negative. Just think about when we lived off the land. If there was a sound, say like you were living, we lived off the land, and there was a sound in the bush over there, and let's just say you're like me, positive minded. You go do do do. Oh, wonder what that was. Don't have time for that. It's so beautiful today. The sky is pretty. The grass is green, and it really was a predator, right? And it jumps out and catches me by surprise, and now I have moved on, as opposed to living off the land, and I'm walking and I hear a sound over in the bush, and I'm like, what is that? And it puts me, on edge and alerts me, and I pay attention and I stop what I'm doing and I zone in, and I prepare myself for what possibly could be in the bush. And the very next movement, I'm able to jump out the way or dodge out the way or take off running because my body has prepared me to do that. So negativity is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that we have changed environments, which means we need to change the way we practice negativity and positivity. We want to have it in its respective places instead of always having triggering stressful thoughts producing cortisol when we're not really in danger. So um positivity isn't just an attitude, it is a state of mind. It is seeing the world through the lens of what can I learn or how can I serve. It is realizing that every moment is an opportunity to find peace and spread joy. It all starts with the thoughts we tell ourselves. We can react from a place of condition, um, or respond from a place of power. And we all know which is better, right? To respond from a place of power. Positivity is a choice to take our power and to soar. So you can choose negativity. And again, I understand why we choose negativity, but also it can harm us. It doesn't really help us if we're constantly producing cortisol, and cortisol is not good for our body. So we can form positive habits by feeding our brains new streams of input. Positivity is about redirecting what we think about a stimulus, or anything we choose to consume. We can always change our mind about what we're consuming and what we believe about what we're consuming. So 3 times a day, stop and think about something good that's going on in your life, right? Count your blessings. When you wake up in the morning, count your blessings. Keep a gratitude journal, or just keep some sort of documentation journal around you where you could just document what you're thinking, right? It's so good just for us to uh, find a way to take what we consume and have it work for us, right? I recommend first thing in the morning. That's always the best. As soon as you open your eyes, the alarm go off. If you can just name some things that you're grateful for, that will start your positivity train for today. You can also do it, when you're going to sleep at night. You can, I do both in the morning and night, but at night, if you can't do it in the morning, you just name the things that you're grateful for that day, the things that you accomplished, the things that made you feel good, made you feel worthy. Ultimately, you have the power. It's up to you. You make the hard decisions and you deal with all the consequences in your life. We can start to enjoy the act of self managing instead of subduing to natural negative pathways, right? We don't have to listen to our human nature, our biologically programmed feelings and emotions. We have the power to override them and to make sure that our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and actions all align. The mammal brain is designed to compare itself to others and to release a bad feeling when it sees itself in a one down position, right? So we compare ourselves. And living in this society, we're constantly comparing ourselves. We work at jobs that compare us and want us to compete. We live in societies and have social structures that always compete. There are standards that may not look like you, so you always feel like you're being compared to something or somebody, and it may not be an ideal comparison, right? You could be at the lower end. You may not be the standard. Now that we know this information, we can use positivity to redirect those thoughts, right? So we don't even have to sit down and entertain those thoughts in our brain. We do not have to think about comparing our lives or ourselves and what we have or what we don't have to other people. It is an option. Humans in general have lived with social frustration since the beginning of time, and that's all societies throughout, human evolution. We fought, we warred, we disagreed, we loved, we did it all, right? And if other and since we have been dealing with social frustration since the beginning of time, it is something that we tend to focus on relentlessly, right? We're always trying to figure out how we can, I guess, vibe better or at least tolerate each other, which is not a good thing. But we're always focusing on how we can, connect better. I think that's a better word. It will feel like a crisis in our brain when we're not vibing, where we're, having disagreements with the human family, our family, society. It feels like a crisis in our brain because we're social animals, and we will find evidence that fits, whatever we believe about ourselves. So we believe that we're unlovable. We'll use this as a way to prove that we're unlovable. So unless we train our mind to combat this, we will spiral out of control naturally, just because of our programming, our hardwire, right? So, just want to give a quick takeaway, then I want to let you go. So, when I study the patterns of human nature, I feel empowered. I hope you do. It feels good to imagine our actions having an impact on our future. It feels even better to know that we have the power to change our thoughts and ultimately our experience. Taking steps towards meeting our needs feel good and rewarding to our mind and body. It starts with our thinking. It starts with combating negative thoughts with positive ones. So let me ask you a quick question. Just write it in the chat. Is your glass half empty or half full? Write it in the chat. Please share with me. Is your glass half empty or half full? I like to think that my glass is half full. How you answer this age old question will show if you're optimistic or pessimistic, and it will kind of reveal what your mindset is. So then you have the option to, change it if that's something you're interested in doing. If you're a pessimist and you would like to change that about yourself, then you have the opportunity to do that by first recognizing that you have a negative, mindset, and our mindset stems from our thinking. So you just change your thoughts, then you change your mindset. Positive thinking changes our outlook on life and our attitude towards experiences and people. It is the best technique to increase our health and well-being, a thousandfold. So I hope you are able to understand why positivity is so beneficial to you. Please share with me in the chat if you understand, if you didn't understand, if you have any questions, please share with me. I do this every Monday. I share a new tip, tool, trick, or technique to manage stress every Monday at noon. On Wednesdays, I do a wellness work break at noon where we do some deep breathing exercises. On Fridays, it's Fun Funny Fridays, so I do a fun exercise, normally laughter yoga. I try to keep it within 15 minutes, definitely not over 30 because I don't know if you're on your 15-minute break or lunch break. And I'll kind of just want to chat and engage with you. So that's the quickest way to do it. I also offer a stress management fun shop every third Saturday of the month where I give you at least 15 tips, tools, tricks, and techniques to manage stress. And then we spend the last hour and a half having a party and showing you how to implement them in a fun and playful way. The next one, the next one is in October, but no tickets for those. So the next one will be, I think, November the 19th. So please check my social medias for that. And what is your plan this week to play as hard as you work, to add some fun into your life, to decrease the cortisol? How will you manage your stress this week? It is very important to make a plan to go ahead and incorporate that into your life, into your most stressful moments. It is your responsibility to play as hard as you work. No one will do it for you. Only you receive the consequences. So it's in your best interest to add all of the juicy things you want into your life. So please share with me, what do you think about positive thinking? What do you think about playing? If you think any of this will help, what's your play plan for this week? How do you plan to incorporate play, fun, laughter, joy into your world? And I will see you on Wednesday at noon for our wellness work break. And I hope this helps, work life warriors. Happy Monday and enjoy your day.